please, if you feel like your questions were not answered, please do come up to the speakers when you see them in the conference, and definitely do ask them. I'm sure that they will be available to answer those. So one of the questions were, how should we deal with younger children making fun of religion? For example, a child is saying, Allah, please send Santa. I'm going to be Christian.
Sure. Okay. So before I answer that, I wanted to point out this particular slide. So in terms of information that you can get on a regular basis, the FYI, the Family and Youth Institute, has a lot of material on their website. So please go download the videos, watch the videos, infographics. There's a ton of articles. You can search for different articles on specific issues. But one of the really most useful tools that we have is our email list. And I say that because scholars have come up and told us that when people ask them questions, they just tell them, join the FY email list. We send out 1 email per day, Monday to Friday, 1 email per day, because everybody's busy. Nobody's got time to read, 2,000 pages every single day. 1 email per day within 3 to 5 minutes of reading. That's our target. And every day is something new, something different. It might be a funny joke, it might be a comic, but with a lesson to it. It might be things you can do with your kids' activities. It might be on marriage, it might be on mental health, it might be on elder care, different topics. So join our email list. You can go to our website and just sign up, or you can text to that phone number that's on the screen, your name and your email address, inshallah we'll add you. So that will be very helpful. So to the question at hand, what if the kid is wanting to pray to, or wanting Santa to bring him some gifts, etc. I would say that I wouldn't categorize that as changing religion per se or making fun of religion. The child is, in my mind at least, expressing some level of faith, but they want something, they want a toy. And so you want to change the question a little bit and help them to think, who's this Santa? You think it just falls down from the sky? And depending on the age, of course, right? Can somebody really come down the chimney and come down with the gift? Somebody can read your mind. And instead of getting a toy car, would you like 1,000 toy cars? Oh, yes, of course. Would you like a real Lamborghini instead of this little, puny little Lambo? Yeah, I want a real Lamborghini. I want a Lamborghini Countach. All right, cool. But you know who can make it happen? Allah. Right now, let's make dua. So you sit there, right there. Let's put our hands together. Oh Allah, bless me with 1,000 Lamborghinis. Say Ameen. Tell the kid to say Ameen. The kid will be loud Ameen. Yes, absolutely. Okay, what else you want? Let's make dua. You're teaching them who can ultimately give you what you want is Allah, not these other things. And say, my child, remember, ask Allah for everything. Don't make fun of their request for a Lamborghini. Yes, ask. Allah can make it happen. As they get older, you can change the type of request, but at least you redirected them into asking Allah rather than thinking about some minor things.
Some of the other things were about parenting. One parent is strict and one parent is soft. And the question is it good to have that opposite of parenting? Is it good to have both parents have the same style? What are your thoughts on that?
So, of course, the ideal situation is for parents to be on the same page. And it's important that you allow for opportunities, that you have conversations about how you'd like to parent your kids, what's your vision in terms of how you would like to raise the kids. But oftentimes, you're not going to see eye to eye when it comes to kids. And sometimes when I talk to parents, a certain parent will say, I just can't do this parenting thing because I'm on this one page and my husband's on another page. And my suggestion to you is, after trying your best to be on the same page, is to do what you can within your control. You're still half of the equation. And there's lots of opportunities and lots of times and lots of moments where you can instill these values and ideas in terms of how you raise your kids. And by the way, your kids register these things. And perhaps maybe when they're young, they try to take advantage of that situation. That's why the best is for both to be on the same page. But they register these things, and as they mature and as they grow older and as they see the different paths of life and as they become parents themselves, it'll click. They'll say, oh yeah, I remember this. And they can say, okay, there are options, there are different ways, different styles that people deal with different human beings and different individuals, and it allows them to say, okay, this is the path that I would like to choose, and this is what I would like to do. Again, I'm not saying, forget the being on the same page. That is the ideal situation, and you must strive to work together. And the Family and Youth Institute has a lot of resources when it comes to marriage and parenting, and being on the same page. But you're not always 100% going to be on the same page. There has to be some kind of compromise and work with whatever you have control.
How do you come back from an unjust consequence, and now you have a teenager a couple of years into it? How can you fix that connection with them at that point?
You can add on, inshallah. So, the quote that Nadeem said earlier, connection before correction, is very important. Even after you've made the mistake and you feel like perhaps you might have broken that connection, my recommendation, my suggestion is find ways and opportunities to rebuild that trust and connection with your child without talking about the issue at hand first. Go out for lunch with them, go watch a movie with them, ask them about their hobbies, go on a trip with them. All of these things, rebuild this conversation ground and that connection with your child. And then that way you can bring up the topic with them. I thought really hard about this one incident or this situation or the mistake, that you made many years ago or whatever, many months ago. And I thought that perhaps I should have dealt with it differently. And to be honest with them, like we said before, model for them how you would like them to apologize. And you say, I realize that perhaps I shouldn't have dealt with it that way, and I feel really bad about it. And I want to make it up to you, And usually kids are very gracious when they see that their parents are really genuine and sincere in the way that they deal with it. Their response is usually, unless it's been years of accumulation of not having connection, their response is usually very positive. And you say, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm human, and I'm trying my best. And kids, believe it or not, they don't want you to be perfect. They want you to be human and empathic. And as long as they see that from you, inshallah, the path is easier in your connection with them.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
And last question, there's a lot of things about sibling rivalry. If you guys can touch a little bit about what parents can do when they are caught in the middle of a sibling coming to the parent and saying, why do you always treat this parent? Why don't you ever listen to me? Or why does this person get more treatment or better treatment?
Yes, well, sibling rivalry will continue until they're 58 years old, and it'll still be happening, right? So, but when they're younger, the starting point would be to make sure you are actually just. If you're actually favoring one child over the other, then there's a problem here. It's not the kid bringing up the problem. You are the problem because you are favoring one child over the other. But if you are being just and dealing with each child appropriately, then the siblings will have, and in their perception, they're like, you favor them and you let them do this, but you never let me go out and you do this. And then you can educate. It's like, well, no, I let them go out because they did 1, 2, 3 of their chores. You failed to do your chores. And as a result, remember, we talked about it, you did not do your chores, so you're going to stay home. So it wasn't me. You came up with that decision. You said, so don't blame it on me that I'm favoring one child or the other. You decided to not do your chores, and you decided at the end when I spoke to you about it that the consequence would be I'm staying home. So this was, you forgot about that already. It was not me. Another case would be thinking that, you know what, there are different circumstances require different repercussions. So it's not a matter of favoring one child over the other. Yes, your brother or sister did something and I punished them lightly, in your view. You did something and I punished you more harshly. But you know what? You are 15, they're 7 years old. There's going to be a different level of punishment. Or you're 15 and they're 13, and what they did was on a small scale. What you did had major ramifications. So helping them understand, knowing, as Dua mentioned, their brain development is only at a certain level, but processing for them that, you know what, when you went and made those decisions, they were not arbitrary decisions. There was a whole process that you followed. Walk them through that process, that you did this, and therefore, because of the scale of the mistake, this was the appropriate consequence. But they did this, this, and the other, and because of the scale, it was this. And that's all it was. It wasn't about favoring one child or the other. But when they get some insight into this, they also learn and recognize, one, that you're not favoring, but two, you're reinforcing there are different types of mistakes and there are different levels of mistakes, and therefore the level of consequences will be different.